I'm recording this late today on my birthday. And I'm doing it on my birthday, and I'm showing you balloons. I love balloons. I love balloons. I love them because they're bright, they're cheery, they're fun. Who doesn't love balloons? Just like I love puppies and kittens and soft sweaters and a great cup of coffee. And the reason I'm doing this today, I feel so weird talking about this subject, but I feel weird that I've been doing birthday stuff. It happened in the middle of my birthday. And I feel that it's my responsibility with as little as or big platform that I have to talk about it. And the reason I put these balloons here is because that's something the victims of these shootings will never see. The horrible tragedy that happened in Texas yesterday. The just pure evil. Just evil. Children. Just pure, innocent, beautiful children. Teacher. Just beautiful innocence. Just ripped from the earth. 10 beautiful souls in Buffalo a few weeks ago, ripped from the earth. About 5 or 10 beautiful souls ripped in a church. And you know the drill. Every weekend, there's just beautiful people killed in Chicago. I was just in Chicago. Just horrific. So it's my job to talk about it because it's the most important thing. I wanted to talk about something so terrible with brightness. That's why I like stupid shit like funnel cake and bowling and hugs, because the world is full of evil, and we can go around the world trying to avoid it and just live in a balloon. But that's not very responsible or loving to those who aren't as fortunate. So first of all, I want to apologize to anyone if I offended you, if I was putting out birthday stuff in the middle of this shooting, because I didn't really dive into it until just now. I was working and wasn't paying attention to the news. I don't even know what to say to the families. There's nothing I can say other than I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. The only thing I can do for them right now is try to talk about this situation and hope that it'll start a thought process of understanding. There's so much being talked about, and I'm not an expert in any of this, but I don't think anybody talking about it is either, because a lot of people, we have to start the name of this podcast is Hate to Break It to You. And we have to start with these things. People are talking about this, and they're pointing this over there, and they're talking about politics and this and this and that. And we have to start with the basic premise. I mean, the best analyst I saw on this so far is Inside the NBA. Possibly the best show on television across all platforms. And Kenny the Jet Smith said it perfectly. And you don't have to be religious to understand this. He said, a demonic mind knows no sense. And I'm not being religious. I'm not being spiritual. I'm not being anything. It's a brilliant statement. A demonic mind knows no sense. Because let's just not get it twisted. He is correct. Again, I'm not being religious. I don't want to scare anyone off here. I'm not a religious person. But if you see what's happened over the last 3 weeks, I mean, just a supermarket of old, vulnerable people. A school full of just vulnerable, innocent kids. A church, just older, innocent people. Plus many more that aren't being televised. That is evil. And what do we equate evil with? Devil, demonic, whatever. I mean, I hate to say this, but there's a great saying. It says the devil's greatest trick was convincing people he never existed. And I'm not going to get on my own personal beliefs, but I'm trying to talk to you from a scientific point of view that this shit is, there's a lot of shit going down, and I want to break it down in what my opinion is for the people that value it. And anybody that is going to, come at me in the comments, I would like you to, it's not going to get us anywhere, so you should listen and keep an open mind. And there's a lot more to it than that. Like Shaq said, again, the easiest take and the smartest. Background checks are great. You can always get a gun, though. There's just too many guns, right? But then there's a lot of people that are saying, there's so many people that are like raging against gun control and they want better things, which is good. Who say they own a gun. I don't own a fucking gun. I've never owned a gun. I would never own a gun. I would never own a gun. Maybe, I guess if it gets crazy, but I'm 52. Is that okay to sell you? I don't care. I don't own a gun. The only time I've ever shot a gun is in movies, and that's something I want to address. Or practicing. So I see a lot of people like coming after, like they just keep blaming these old Republicans, which is a whole other thing, which we have to talk about, which there's a lot of truth to what they're saying, but then they're like, but I have a gun. It's like, what are you talking about? You have a gun. I'm not going to name names, but this one person I just saw has a gun. He's like a fucking chubby YouTuber. Dude, what do you need a gun for, bro? Like, I think the biggest thing we have to talk about, though, that's all technical. First thing we have to talk about is the lack of empathy in society. People are just so much. We're all connected, and we're all part of this problem, myself included. I'm starting here. And I'll tell you how I'm part of the problem. I'll get to it. I'll start simply is that guns are everywhere and guns are glorified in a lot of TV and movies and stuff. And I'm guilty of having guns in different projects. as a kid, my dad told me, he's like, some kid, I remember when Superman came out, he jumped off a roof and died. It was like 1979 or 1980. And my dad's like, you know you can't fly, right? And I'm like, yeah, why? And he's like, well, some kid, jumped off the damn building, thought he could fly. He's like, you got more common sense than that, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, all right, just checking. You Can't Fly is a movie. So my dad checked in with me. But I'm like, of course I can't fucking fly. And people came for Superman. I don't know if you remember this. Like, common sense. But there's a lot of people out there without common sense. Would tell you that you can't do that, but, it happened. So a lot of people see guns. Guns are in video games. I'm not trying to be an old lady, but guns are in movies. Guns are in television show. Guns are glorified. Violence is glorified. How many times you see on TikTok people, these platforms allow these fights. You ever see these fights? This smack in the face game. Fights, shootouts. Violence is everywhere. And it's rapped about. It's sung about. It is made to look cool in movies. So the first thing is we are desensitizing ourselves to horrible shit. That's the first thing. It's out there everywhere. The next thing is that there's a lack of empathy. People just do not feel for their fellow man. They always want to one-up them. They want to say, I'm this, you're not. They don't feel. There's just no pain of someone. If someone gets slapped, they don't feel like what it would be like to be slapped. Most people are like these sociopaths. You don't have to shoot up places to be one. I see it all the time. I see people all the time, and you're going to say, what are you talking about? Just look at human beings in general, their behavior. They're not aware. They're not in tune. They're not taking in their fellow human beings. How many people just look you in the eye? You're probably wondering, what does this have to do with it? It has a lot to do with it. Because we live in a very sectioned off society. Emotions are suppressed. People are on tons of drugs, mental drugs. People aren't feeling things properly. Let's just take this kid from yesterday who fucking did this, pure evil. Just pure fucking evil. They said that he had no criminal record, so a background check, which we definitely need stricter ones on, wouldn't have busted him. An AR-15, which again you don't need. Like, I agree, you got to ban the bigger guns, keep the simpler ones. If people want the Second Amendment, I think that's correct. Like, the Constitution was written years, centuries ago, so they didn't have these guns. So we got to just basically keep it common sense, a firearm, not these other ones. And these, big corporations have to be held accountable. But like, it's so much, but we're not really addressing it. The first thing is any place that sells these guns, they have to just have all their guns taken away. Okay. It's that simple. If you keep a certain amount of guns, let's just say, if it's a gun problem, you keep pistols or whatever guns you feel the Second Amendment will cover you for, or a rifle or whatever. I don't believe in hunting either. I believe it for food. That's it. I don't believe you should fucking shoot fucking animals for sport. I think that's fucking disgusting too. Unless you kill the animal, eat it, wear it, and it's part of the ecosystem, the cycle of life, yes. But to just do it, to say I shot this animal, I think that's just, again, an unempathetic thing to do. I think it's murder of an animal. But I eat chickens, I eat beef. So again, I'm hypocritical because I don't know how they're killed, and they're not killed great. So again, but I eat them for food. Because that's how I was raised. And maybe I was raised wrong. I don't know. I'm trying to make sure that everyone knows that I'm going to include myself as much as I can understand to include myself in this process. Because they're never going to get anywhere with people pointing fingers. So you have to take responsibility within yourself first. I put out movies with guns in them. I've eaten food of dead animals. Now you're going to go, what are you talking about? I'm going to tell you why. It has to do with empathy. People are not empathetic. They're disgusting. That's the first thing. The second thing is, this is never going to stop. You're always going to be able to get weapons. Since last year, mass shootings have gone up 51%. Since 2017, 91%. We're on a bad trend. It's not getting better. So as we all know, the thoughts and the prayers and my condolences, it's all bullshit. How do you stop it? Well, there's a lot of ways you can, there's police states, there's all of this stuff, right? It's near impossible to stop a random person unless, we're in their brain and we can, like Minority Report it, right? So I remember hearing about my first shooting. I think it was 1979 or 1980. It was in California. I was living in Philly, and we had just come back from a trip. First time I ever went to California. I think it was in Linwood or somewhere outside Sacramento. And it was 18 people were killed in a McDonald's. And my sister was like, oh my God, we were just in that. Like we were out. We were like it was near Sacramento, and we were just out there. And my family's like, oh my God. And my dad's like, you can't predict if some nuts is going to go in and shoot up the place. You can't predict it. And that's how I was raised. Like, you cannot predict. But I had seen that the first time, and that's before all the internets and all this stuff. So it was like ABC Prime News, and it was just, 50 million people saw the story. It was like a mass shooting. I was like 9 or 10, and I just remember. And it was over there. Just like, when the Iranian war was happening with the Ayatollah Khomeini. It was over there. It was a lot of over there. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm safe in my little enclave. And I think now we're getting better about it being over there because social media and everything, you can reach out, you can touch people literally anywhere in the world with a DM and stuff. So it's like, it is here. And I think, which is good because people need to see it and feel it. We're violent by nature. People are demented by nature. People are hypocritical by nature. And people are disgusting. A lot of people by nature. There are a lot of fucked up people that are just fucked up. Like I said in my last video, people have to be nurtured and raised correctly up until they're 6 years old. Their soul has to be caressed. They got to be pure, man. That's why all these kids I see coming out and restaurants and loud traffic, all that shit. No, I don't think a kid should be in a lot of stress before he's 6 years old. That's just me. I think kids should be raised with sweetness and softness. And I think a lot of our society is raised fucked up. And it breeds to fucked up adults. So that's the first part. The second part is you have to understand that it's never going to stop. We can make as many gun reforms, and we should push for them. People are always going to want to get guns. And if they don't get them legally, they'll get them illegally. But we should just try to at least pass the laws so people can, there's harsher penalties. But the first thing is you have to understand that politicians don't care about you. A lot of these politicians take money from the gun lobbyists. That's it. These guys take money. If you're taking money, you're part of the problem. That's it. If you're taking money from companies that allow these past whatever the Second Amendment gun is, if we say it's a fucking 6-shooter or a 22 or whatever you feel is comfortable, a rifle, but nothing like super automatic that we all agree is like just too much. If you're taking money from people that supply them, you're part of the problem. If you're a big corporation that's selling them, you're part of the problem. So you can never say, oh, I don't know how this is happening. So you have to understand that the reason this keeps happening is because you have hypocrisy and people really don't care in politics. You have hypocrisy, people don't really care in retail. You have absolute lack of empathy. We have a society that glorifies it. And then we have a society that is highly distracted by it. Like, you can't glorify guns and then be surprised when terrible gun shit happens. Now, they don't glorify these type of fucking things, these horrific things, but this is what guns were made for. Guns weren't made to plant a tree. Guns were made to take out another person. And this person who, let's just stay on this Texas kid. It's just, he shot his fucking grandmother first. Like, just, there's no, I would, that's like Manchurian Candidate type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he has no soul, no empathy, no feeling. Like, you can't, and then he killed 20 kids, 19 kids and a teacher. That's borderline MK Ultra. Like, this fucking kid, he cannot feel you cannot do that. I don't kill bugs, dude. So maybe I'm too one on the other side. I don't kill bugs. Like, I wouldn't kill a bug. Like, I see everything as part of our ecosystem. So it's like, let that bug chill. Bug's not bothering me. If I see a spider, I put it outside. So I damn sure couldn't fucking shoot my grandmother if I ever knew her. And I damn sure couldn't fucking walk into school. I would fucking tremble with, I couldn't even fathom that. Like, I couldn't even. So this person is not of a person that is a feeling what we're used to is advertised as a human being, a human condition. It's just not. This is some type of other entity. And there's a lot of them out there. And I think that you have to realize is that where people are just getting killed, collateral damage, you're going to have to be stricter. If you find out who killed the gun or supplied the gun, fucking 30 years in jail. And you're going to say, what the fuck are you talking about? It has to go overcorrection that way. Just like we overcorrect in other things. Like, you know, look at the Richard Ramirez documentary on Netflix. That dude's, he wasn't of this world. Do you know what I mean? I think you have to really open your mind to just things that are not of this fucking world. And that's a whole other, you have to understand that the people aren't going to operate like you and I who are like raised to be like, oh, here's your neighbor, you know, an old lady, you know, help her with her groceries. You okay? You know, a bum on the street, here's $5, you know, basic common decency, you know, do unto others as you would want done unto you. That's just a basic rule of any type of fundamental goodness, right? It doesn't even have to be religious. It's just do to others as you want done to you, right? Like, you don't, that's why I don't fuck anyone over. I try not to. And if I do, I, you know, would like to admit it because I don't want to be fucked over. I've been fucked over. So I damn near don't want to shoot anyone because I don't want to be shot. So I think the first thing we have to look at is, as a society, instead of pointing fingers, I think we have to start admitting things. That me and my business, guns are everywhere. You have to just admit that. And you have to go, maybe we're making fucked up product that like is putting messages into people's heads. Like part of it. Not all of it. I'm just saying. If no one takes any responsibility for that, you're bullshit. Okay. You have to at least admit it. Okay. In my movie, The Tremors, I've never shot at people. I shot at graboids. But still, it's like, you know, they made it look cool and fun. And it was, you know, it was make-believe. But I understand it. And I assume that everyone watching it knows that we're shooting fucking graboids, which we haven't discovered yet. So it's all fucking make-believe. We're shooting a fucking ass blaster. You have to really take shit away from people. Okay. I do this in a joke right now. Do you want to stop the Catholic Church from doing fucking bad shit to altar boys? Take away football. You're going to go, what are you talking about? We have to take away all distractions. I love the NBA. I love basketball. But if it stopped being played, people go, what the fuck? Why'd that happen? Gun violence. Okay. Like, stop releasing a movie. You're going to go, what are you talking about? We can't do it. Gun violence. Do you not understand? I'm saying we have to treat this epidemic, which it is. It's not gun violence. It's the murder. The insane, sick murder of innocent children. The slaughter. We have to generally, as a nation, as people, as a species, have to get that mad. We have to lose our freedoms to learn to value them. Does that make sense? Like, it sounds probably crazy to a lot of you, but we really don't understand how fortunate we are. We're so fortunate that we're so free that this type of horrific shit happens. I am not for communism, but I bet you don't hear about a lot of fucking mass shootings in a communist country. Maybe I'm wrong. And you're going to say, what are you talking about? What I'm trying to say is people need to we all need to see it. We all need to be aware of it. It needs to be put in our face, and everything else has to, this is the only way to do it, or it's never going to stop. And if you say I can't do that, then you're going to have to live with one of these every month. Because people are just too selfish. They won't give up their personal right. They won't. These politicians are never going to do it. So what do? You overthrow them? Maybe, but that's going to lead to martial law. These main retailers aren't going to do it. The only way you can do it is just not go to the retailers, right? How many people are not going to do that? They're not going to do that. The gun lobbyists aren't going to stop doing it because they make money. They're not going to do it. So if you take things away from people, and if you hit them where it hurts, whether it's their pocketbook, their entertainment, their distractions, whatever, and just say, we have to focus on this. What are you willing to give up to stop violence? That's what it is. What personal thing of yourself are you going to give up? Would you take public transportation for 2 months? You're going to go, what does that have to do with it? Would you not have any sports to watch? Would you have no movies to go to? But none of these people are going to stop doing that because there's too much money. That's a dream, right? No one cares that much. They say they do, but they don't. And people they'll just go to Walmart and go, yeah, it's terrible. What are you doing here? Oh, I'm getting some stuff for the weekend. We'll have a barbecue, the wife, the kids, yeah. You can. These other families can't. If we all treat these kids, those elder people in the church, those other people in the supermarket, those older people in the supermarket, if we all treat them as all of us, as our family, as one and not strangers, and we all cry and we all connect, maybe something will change. But that's just not what people are doing. They're like, oh, my family's okay, or my hearts and prayers to your family. Well, what about your family? Aren't they? Don't you care enough? You can't leave it up to these politicians. The only thing we can do is just hit everybody in their pocketbook. Crazy. It's so crazy now. Like in this, I'm just telling you, it feels like 2020. Oklahoma passed this insanely stringent abortion bill. I don't know enough about it, but I think the minute you a guy fucking ejaculates in you, you're a fucking felon or some shit, like something crazy. There's fucking horrible tragedies with these shootings, especially these fucking kids yesterday. And they're all terrible. You know, monkeypox is brewing. And I just think we're headed down a very, I think people need to put down the White Claw. If you see people drinking a White Claw, having a good time, they're part of the problem. You may say, oh, fuck you, dude. I'm just telling you. If you're vaping, you're part of the problem. I'm sorry, you could say that. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you really want this shit to change, you need to be present, you need to feel everything, and you need to attack. If not, it's never going to change. And then you're just going to go, what's going on? I don't know if this video made sense, but it does to me because I just feel like people are like looking at this, people pointing finger, this people pointing, but you have to start and look at what is society. We're very entitled, narcissistic, self-involved, mixed-messaged, greedy people. I don't know. I don't fucking know. Just try to be aware, be safe. Try to have compassion for your fellow human being. Try to have a safe holiday. Peace.